Welcome everyone to the All India clash at the first round of the Tata Steel Masters 2024. Harikrishna with the white pieces taking on Arjun Erigaisi. He opens the game with 1 e4. And Arjun, what is his response going to be? He plays the Sicilian. He's out here for a fight. Harikrishna was the last minute replacement at this tournament for Vidit Gujrathi, who decided to pull out because he's soon getting married. Knight f3, d6 played here by Arjun. Will Harikrishna go for the positional ideas with bishop b5? No, he brings his knight to c3. And often when I see Harikrishna playing, I see a man who is just very calm, very relaxed. You can even see the way he makes his moves. It's somehow very, very calm. d4 presses the clock. We are in open Sicilian territory now. Pawn takes pawn by Arjun. Knight takes pawn. And it must be remembered that both Arjun and Harikrishna were part of the gold medal winning Olympiad team for India. So they both know each other very well. Bishop e2 played in the classical Sicilian. The main move here, of course, is bishop g5, the Richter rouser. But once he plays bishop e2, Arjun gets the energy to go for the dragon. He's like, now, Hari, it won't be as dangerous. These ideas with f3, queen d2, long castle, g4, h4, which generally people play against the dragon. With the bishop on e2, it doesn't look that dangerous. So he goes for it, bishop g7. And the dragon setup is actually a very nice one for black because you see, the bishop is on the long diagonal, the other bishop is open, the knights are well placed, you have the open c file. There are a lot of trump cards that you have. Arjun confidently castles short and Hari actually castles long. Wow, he's going for it. He's going here and this is going to be an exciting game now because both sides have castled on the opposite side and d5 played here by Arjun Erigaisi. He's breaking right in the center, trying to equalize the game. Harikrishna plays the move bishop f3. And with this, he's essentially saying that, hey, I'm ahead in development. I'm happy that the position is opening up. Arjun takes on e4. Well, if you take now on e4, there is knight e5. And in fact, black is the one who's doing well here. So the right move is to take on c6. And that is exactly what Hari does. He takes on c6. You can take on d2 and go into a slightly inferior endgame here with black. But I think Arjun now has some other plans in mind. He goes queen c7. This is the reason why he had thought on the previous move so much. Now the knight is hanging. Also the bishop is hanging. And Harikrishna now has to decide what to do. He has 1 hour 38 minutes. He thinks for 17 minutes for this move and takes the pawn on e7. And I think now Arjun can simply take it back. Queen takes e7. So he is a pawn here. The number of pawns are equal. Bishop e2 played. It feels like black's position should be completely fine here. Maybe a move like knight g4 does make sense to fight for the bishop pair. And he plays it. Knight g4 on the board. Also opening up the dark squared bishop here from g7. He takes on g4. I think the opening has worked out well for Arjun here. And now bishop takes g4 is what he's going to take. Yes, so takes here and now attacking the rook. Now if you play the move rook e1, then rook d8 and suddenly the queen is trapped. So the only way to proceed is queen d6, which is what Hari plays. So if you take the queen, I'll save my rook here. And instead of taking, he goes back queen e8. This shows Arjun's ambition. Taking here, take shouldn't be worse at all for black. You can even take here. It's a draw. But queen e8 and now rook d2 played here by Hari. Arjun can take bishop c3, bc3, play queen a4. The position is around even. But instead he goes rook c8. Now this is where white starts to sort of take over because now knight d5 seems like a good idea, threatening knight e7 check. But he goes bishop d4, also a very strong move. So once you trade the bishop pair, then what remains on the board, the knight looks really good as compared to the bishop. He goes rook d8, and I think Arjun must be expecting Hari to go back to c5 here. But Harikrishna seems to have something else in mind. He sacrifices his queen here. Brilliant move there by Harikrishna. And now if you take here on d8, which you must, bishop g7 unleashes an attack on the queen. So Hari takes on g7 here. And now if imagine here you play king g7, I take and take here. White is just a pawn up. And this would be quite sad. So he goes queen e8 here. Arjun has 31 minutes. Harikrishna has 35 minutes on the clock. And Hari takes it. He takes on f8. And you can take it back. You can take it back with the king. You can take it back with the queen. But this is Arjun's plan. He wanted to play e3 in, so that he gives up a pawn, but in return he spoils the structure. Harikrishna very happily chops off the pawn. So now not only does he have 2 rooks for the queen, he also has an extra pawn here. So that's 11 points for the queen. He takes here. There's pressure on e3, so rook e1 seems like a natural move to play. And he plays it. Rook e1 on the board. So Arjun here now having a very serious task at hand. He has the queen, and the queen is very dangerous piece because see, it's looking here, it's also looking here. It can create a lot of chaos. But on the other hand, you must remember that 2 rooks, if coordinated well, can be a force to reckon with. Bishop e6 played. And Hari is known for his endgame skills. That's one of the things that is not in Arjun's favor. a3, again these moves, and you will realize that Harikrishna thinks about such positions differently than many players. That being the reason here is that he wants to improve the position bit by bit. Nothing to be done overnight. Look at that, rook d4, just improving the rook, putting it on a good square. a3, making some space. And when you play chess this way, he plays queen h5, attacking the pawn on h2. It becomes quite irritating for your opponent because the opponent is all the time trying to attack something, but Hari is more than happy to defend it. He knows he has the resources to play this way. So very tough here for Arjun. He goes queen to f3, which is a nice move. He's threatening some stuff like check here. And Hari needs to play this well. He goes again a typical Harikrishna move and a fantastic move, b3. He's making a luft for the king on b2, slowly and steadily improving his position. h5 by Arjun. If there's one trump card that black has, it's some kind of a good structure on the king side. If he can create a passed pawn, nothing like it. But not so easy. Again, king b2, just improving the position bit by bit. And Arjun comes back with the queen, queen to f6. There's not too many things that he can do here. And white now needs to, and actually what he can do is he can wait for Hari to do something. But Harikrishna, you can see how he's improved his position now. a4 on the board, little improvement on the queen side structure. a6, he plays b6 actually, not a6, b6 is on the board. But this means that somewhere the knight can jump in, attack the pawn on a7. Hari first brings the rook to d2, defending his rook on d4. It's actually very tough to face Harikrishna in such positions, I must say. He has a lot of patience. Queen e5, attacking the pawn on e3. And Hari now pushes his pawn to e4. Time-wise, Arjun keeping a small lead on the clock. He has roughly around 11 minutes or so. Harikrishna down to his 10 minutes on the clock. After 40 moves, they both will get 50 extra minutes, which is quite a lot of time. Rook d6 played. And now the king comes back to g7. The problem now is the knight on c3 is pinned. So he comes back to d4. And I believe Arjun would be more than happy with a draw. So he goes king h6. Well, Hari can accept a draw with rook d6, but I'm sure he wants to fight on. And he must fight on here. He goes knight to d5. Now, one thing is very clear. If the knight and bishop gets traded like this is just completely winning for white. So, black must not trade the bishop for the knight. Which is why Arjun plays bishop to g4. And Harikrishna now goes knight e3. He's simply improving his knight. Maybe next knight to c4. Okay, first of all, threatening to take here. I think Arjun will save the bishop. Goes back to e6. And now if you play knight c4, maybe he wants to take and the rook can't take because it's pinned. So your structure gets spoiled. And this is not what Harikrishna wants. So again, king a2. Patience. There's a very famous endgame book written by Shereshevsky where he talks about the concept of do not hurry. And I think Hari, being with the player with white pieces, he's like, I am hurry. I am not going to hurry, but I'm okay, guys. Sorry for that. h4 played, trying to break the structure on the king side. And he takes. So I'm not so sure whom this trade helped a bit, but it feels like white does have some great chances now because the knight is now threatening to take the bishop. Again, we don't want to give the bishop up. So Arjun plays his bishop to h3. But through some maneuvering, you can see that the black king starts to get a little bit exposed. Bishop g4. And now the knight goes to b5. So he's attacking the pawn on a7. He wants to maybe jump to d6 to attack f7. Harikrishna doing this step by step. Queen goes to e7. Not only defending the a7 pawn, but also attacking the e4 pawn. Knight goes to d6. We can see Divya in the background there. The e4 pawn is defended. He goes queen f6. One thing that you will notice when you see Harikrishna playing is that he's not averse to making moves where he's getting his pieces back. Now this is a cool move, e5. You can't take the pawn. There's knight f7, check, and you lose the queen. So queen goes to f1. And the point there is that you can often bring your pieces to the squares that they were on. And sometimes it's the same position on the board, but the mindset of your opponent would have changed. And when that happens, the moves that also he would play are different. So bishop comes back and now Hari goes for a check. Now very important for black to come out, because if you go king g7, knight e8 check followed by knight f6 launches a mating attack. So he goes king g5, which is the best move. But now this king can come under fire. He goes rook e4. Slightly improving the position, and in case if you decide to go back king h7, I have gained a little bit of time. So he goes king h6 back. And now again Harikrishna brings his king to b2, slightly improving his position g5, and you can see Arjun is not the one who can make waiting moves, say a move like king g7 or king g5 coming back. He's not that kind of a player, so he goes for something much more aggressive. But Harikrishna plays his knight to b5, once again attacking the pawn on a7. Bishop f5 played here by Arjun, and let's see where Hari defends the rook. Where does he retreat it? He brings it back to e2. He is threatening to go to f2 to attack the queen and the bishop. Bishop g4 played. And now rook goes to g2. The rook is attacking the bishop here on g4. He plays queen to e1. So you can't take here on g4. Your rook is hanging. So the e5 pawn is hanging with a check. So knight d4 played. Interesting move. And you block the check. So if queen e5, I can calmly pick up a piece here with rook g4. So he goes queen e4, attacking the rook on g2 and also defending the bishop. King again to a2. Useful move there. Harikrishna calmly playing their bishop h5. And now the threat definitely is to take the pawn. So Harikrishna goes knight c6. What a move by Hari. Queen takes c6, rook d6 check, and I win material. So he went bishop g6 now. Now threatening to pick up the knight because of there's no check. And Hari goes knight e7. What a move, because he will give up this pawn, but then once you take here, this king is very exposed on h6 and the two rooks will run havoc there. So Arjun tries to keep the bishop, goes bishop h5, but there is a very classy move. Knight g8 check played. There was also another very cool move which was h4. If you take with the queen, there is knight f5. You take with the pawn, then check and you lose the queen. But he went knight g8, king g6, and he goes with a check again. Maybe he's aiming for h4. He's repeated the position. This is the second time. Let's see what Hari does. And he finds h4. Well done, Hari. That is just brilliant chess by him. He's now pushed the pawn. Arjun has to push it back just to show you this beautiful line. If you take here, check, and you lose the queen. So that's the reason why he pushes the pawn forward. And now Harikrishna gives a check on g8. He comes to g6. And Hari must take care of the time on the clock. He's down to 3 minutes on the clock. Arjun still has 8 minutes. Knight f6. And this does remind us of the Chennai Grandmasters 2024, where Arjun was completely outwitted by Vidit in the first round, but then he hung in there and managed to score the full point. But when it comes to Harikrishna, it is difficult to outwit him here. Now he has made a sort of a decision that he'll go after the g pawn and give up the e pawn. And Hari does bring the rook to g2, threatening now to take on g4. But I like how Arjun is defending here. He goes queen f5 so that if take, there is check here and the game ends in a draw. So still some tricks placed, but king b1 played. Now the bishop comes back to g6. And threatening here on c2 if you take rook g4, but you can take knight takes g4 here with a check. Oh, he goes h5. What a nice move here. If you take with the bishop, I have rook h2. If you go to h7, I have knight g4 and the king is trapped here. And Arjun Erigaisi resigns after h5. What a win by Harikrishna. Just unbelievable endgame technique shown by him. Not hurrying at all. This is, I would say, one of the finest endgame grinds I've seen here, where Hari had the patience of just unbelievable proportions, He kept moving his king from a2, b2, back to a2, and also when the time was right to strike, he did find the move h4, and he also pushed in the last move with h5. And Arjun, who is the second seed of the tournament, has started off with a loss, and that is going to hurt him a lot. But this tournament is quite long, it is a 13 round event, and you can see how Arjun is with great interest analyzing the game with his opponent. And Harikrishna, well, what to say about him? He's still one of the finest players in India and the world, and when it comes to endgames, maybe one of the top 5 in the world of chess.